Right now, tonight, there are men over 60 doing something that is quietly destroying the last chapter of their lives. Not because they're foolish, not because they're desperate in the way people mock, but because nobody ever told them the truth about what they're actually doing when they chase a girlfriend at this age. 68% of men over 60 rush back into dating within 18 months of losing a relationship. 22% say it made their lives better. That means 78%, nearly 8 out of 10, spent years of their remaining life chasing something that left them worse off than before. If you're 63 years old, statistically, you have between 14 and 17 years of fully active life ahead of you. Not 40 years, not 30, 14, maybe 17. Every year you spend performing for someone who's deciding whether you're worth their time, that year is gone. You do not get it back. I'm Marcus, and if you're a man over 60 who's thinking about getting back out there, or already out there and wondering why it feels like running uphill in sand, this is the conversation nobody else is willing to have with you. Before I show you the system, I want to say one thing clearly. You are not weak for wanting someone. You are not desperate for feeling the silence. Wanting connection is not your flaw. The flaw is not in you. The flaw is in the system you were handed without consent. There is a pattern I've seen in men over 60 who re-enter dating after a major loss. I call it the identity replacement trap. Most of them never recognize it. Not in month one, not in year one, sometimes never. Here's what it says in one sentence. Most men over 60 are not looking for a girlfriend. They are looking for a receipt, proof that they still matter, that they're still chosen, that they haven't become invisible yet. And there is a system, a real, functioning, profit-driven system built specifically to exploit that hunger. That system has a name too. We'll get to it in about 5 minutes. First, let me show you the 3 things happening inside a man over 60 that make him the perfect target. For 40 years, you had a job description: provider, husband, father, employee. You woke up every morning knowing your function. You were someone's something. And that structure, it wasn't just a life, it was your identity. Then the roles ended. Not all at once, but one by one. The kids moved out, the career finished, the marriage ended through divorce or death, and suddenly the tower was gone. And you were left asking a question you'd never had to ask before. Who am I when nobody needs anything from me? Research from the University of Michigan shows men who lose 2 primary identity roles simultaneously, think retirement and divorce in the same window, experience 3 times the psychological distress of women facing the same situation. 3 times. Because for most men, their identity was built entirely outside themselves, built in roles, built in function, built in being useful. When the function ends, the identity has nowhere to live. And that's when he opens a dating app. Not to find love, to find a reason to shave on Tuesday morning. Counter strategy preview. Build identity from the inside first. We'll give you the exact 4-pillar system in the prescription section. Here's the part most men won't admit, even to themselves. You are not afraid of being alone. You are afraid of what you find when you stop filling the silence. Think about the last time you sat in genuine quiet. No phone, no TV, no podcast, no project, just you and the room. How long did you last before you reached for something? The American Psychological Association found that the average man spends fewer than 4 minutes a day in real solitude. Not sleep, not distraction, actual silence with himself. 4 minutes. So when the noise of a career and a marriage disappears, men don't find peace in the silence. They find a vacancy they've never learned to furnish. And a girlfriend? She doesn't heal the vacancy. She covers it, like painting over a crack in the foundation. The crack is still there. The house still shifts, and she can feel it, even if she can't name it. Counter strategy preview. The solitude practice. 20 minutes a day, no input, no output. Not meditation, not journaling, just occupying yourself with yourself. We'll build this in the prescription. If you're still watching at the 5-minute mark, that tells me something about you. You're not here for the quick fix. You're not looking for a list of 10 best dating apps for men over 60. You're here because you suspected something was off about the whole picture. And you were right. What I'm about to show you next is the system nobody names. The thing underneath the loneliness. The actual villain in this story. The validation economy. That's the name of the villain. Not women, not dating apps, not modern culture. The system underneath all of it. Here's how it works, and how long it's been working on you. From the time you were a boy, the message was consistent. Your worth is confirmed by being chosen. Be picked for the team. Get the girl. Get the job. Win approval. Nobody said it out loud, but the system communicated it in 1,000 ways every single day for 60 years. And here's the brutal truth. The validation economy needs men to feel insufficient. Because an insufficient man keeps trying. And a man who keeps trying keeps buying. Dating apps, self-help books, men's grooming products marketed at insecurity, coaches selling you a system to get her back. All of it built on the same foundation. The belief that you are not enough until a woman confirms that you are. The dating app industry is worth $9.6 billion. Here's what the leaked internal metrics show. The more often a user feels rejected, the more time they spend on the app. The app's profit model depends on you feeling almost good enough, not quite chosen, coming back to try again. That is not a platform for connection. That is a slot machine designed to exploit the validation economy. And men over 60 are its most vulnerable users because they have the most to prove, the most urgency, and the least experience with this particular kind of rigged game. Counter strategy. Name the game before you play it. Once you see the validation economy clearly, its power over you begins to dissolve. Every year a man over 60 spends inside the validation economy, he pays with the only currency that matters at this stage of life. Not money, not energy, time. Every performance you give for someone who's deciding whether you're worth it, that's sand leaving the jar. And unlike your 30s, this jar is not refillable. Here's what the research on male aging and relationship pursuit actually shows. Men over 60 who remain in unsuccessful dating cycles, repeated short-term relationships, constant re-entry, show measurably higher cortisol levels, worse sleep quality, and lower self-reported meaning compared to men who choose intentional solitude. Let me say that again in plain English. The men who kept chasing felt worse. The men who chose themselves felt better. Not because love is bad, because performing for validation at any age corrodes the self. And after 60, you don't have enough self left to keep giving pieces of it away to a system that was never going to give them back. Controversial moment. The dating industry tells men over 60 that being single is the problem. But the data says something different. Chronic, low-grade rejection in post-60 dating predicts worse health outcomes than structured solitude. The problem was never being single. The problem was playing a game designed for you to lose and blaming yourself for losing. If you've lived this, comment below. There's a moment in every man's dating life after 60 that he doesn't see clearly. He's sitting across from her at dinner. She laughs at something he said, and for the first time in months, He feels real. He calls that feeling attraction. But here is the harsh truth. He's not attracted to her. He's attracted to the version of himself she's reflecting back. This is the mirror problem, and every relationship built on it ends the same way. She gets tired of being his mirror. He gets devastated that the reflection disappeared. And the validation economy says, try again with someone new. 9 minutes in, you're still here. Most men who started this video wanted to hear about dating strategies. When they realized it was something harder, they left. You stayed. That means you're ready for the part that actually matters. Not how to date better, how to know yourself well enough that your dating choices come from wholeness, not hunger. The prescription. 4 pillars. Let's build. Here's the agreement I want to make with you. We're not building a man who never dates. We're building a man who dates from choice, not desperation. A man who enters a relationship as an addition to his life, not an escape from his interior. There is a difference between those two men. You can feel it in 30 seconds of sitting across from either one. Let's build the second man. Before you date anyone new, you need to know what you actually lost. Not who, what. Not, I lost her. That's the surface. What did you lose with her? Your sense of being needed? Your daily rhythm? The version of yourself that felt capable? A future you'd already imagined? Grief inventory exercise. Write down every role you've lost in the last 5 years. Next to each one, write what that role gave you, not what it cost, what it gave. Meaning, structure, visibility, validation, purpose. Then ask, how do I source that from inside myself now? Measurable outcome. Before your next date, you have a written list of what you're actually looking for, and at least one internal source for each item on the list. We said the average man spends 4 minutes a day in real solitude. Your assignment? Build that to 20. Not meditation, not journaling, just sitting with yourself. No input, no output. This feels wrong at first. It feels like failure. It feels like you should be doing something. That discomfort is the work. You are learning to tolerate and eventually enjoy the company of a man you've spent 60 years with and never fully introduced yourself to. Measurable outcome. 20 minutes of unstructured solitude daily for 30 days. Track one thing. Does the discomfort shrink? Remember the validation economy. It exploits men with a single source of worth. The antidote is what we call a sovereign validation portfolio. 4 independent sources of meaning, none of which require anyone's approval to sustain. Mentorship. Find a younger man to guide. Nothing confirms your experience like being genuinely useful to someone still building. His growth is your receipt, one you issued yourself. Craft. Master something with your hands or your mind. A craft gives you feedback that is immune to other people's moods. Brotherhood. Not golf buddies. Men who challenge your thinking and respect your pushback. Men who tell you the truth. Legacy. Name one thing that will exist after you. Build it further every week. When all 4 are active, a girlfriend becomes a bonus, not a survival strategy. Measurable outcome. By next week, name one active investment in each of the 4 areas. The final pillar, the hardest one. Write an identity statement. Not a resume, not a bio, not a list of what you've done. An answer to this question. Who are you when no one needs anything from you? Start with, I am a man who. Not a man who was, not a man who did, a man who is. This statement is the foundation you bring to every relationship, romantic or otherwise. Date from this foundation, and you attract someone who sees the man, not the function. Skip this step, and you attract someone who needs your usefulness and will leave when it declines. Measurable outcome. A written identity statement. Present tense, not historical, completed before you create or update any dating profile. I want to show you two lives, not two different men, the same man, two versions, same age, same loss, same starting point. The man on the left is not broken. He's not foolish. He's a man who was handed a broken map and told it would lead somewhere real. The validation economy handed him that map, and he's been following it for years, burning through the last good chapter of his life, looking for a destination that doesn't exist on those terms. The man on the right understood something. He understood that what he was really looking for, the sense of mattering, of being real, of having a place in the world, was never going to come from her approval. It was going to come from this. The quiet Saturday, the craft with his hands, the younger man who listened to his story, the morning that belonged to no one but him. I want to say something now, not as a framework, not as data, just as one man to another. The men who chased the longest, the ones I've known personally, the ones whose stories I recognize in my own history, they look back and say a version of the same thing. I spent years trying to earn something that was already mine, and I didn't know how to stop. That is not weakness. That is what the validation economy does to men who were taught to earn everything. But here's what the Stoics understood, and what I want you to carry out of this room with you. The philosopher Epictetus was a slave, literally owned. No freedom of movement, no validation from the world around him, and he wrote one of the foundational texts on human sovereignty because he understood something that the validation economy cannot touch. Your worth is not in the market. It never was. It is in your character, your choices, your willingness to sit in the silence and not flinch. You don't have to stop wanting love. You have to stop letting the validation economy define the terms of how you find it. Walk out of the system, not in anger, not in bitterness, in the quiet, deliberate authority of a man who finally knows what he's worth. That's not the end of your story. That's where it finally begins. Brother, you didn't come here for a dating guide. You came here because some part of you already knew. You knew the chasing felt wrong. You knew the performances were costing you something. You knew the silence, the real silence, had something in it you hadn't faced yet. So here's the question I want you to take with you. Not answer right now, just carry. What would you build for yourself, by yourself, belonging to no one, with the energy you're currently spending trying to be chosen? Drop one word in the comments, just one. What you'd build, what you'd finally do, what you'd return to. One word. That's enough for me to know where you are. We don't chase significance here. We build it. We don't perform wholeness. We practice it. In the quiet, in the ordinary, in the mornings that belong to no one but us. If that's the architecture you want, this is where we build it. Subscribe, not for content, for this community of men doing the harder thing. I am the architect. I will see you in the next blueprint. Sovereign Male Dynamics, Architecture for the New Male Era.